I want to just briefly play for you a clip of what might be, and then I think we're going to be done with vaccine stuff for today. These may be one of the most ignorant and dangerous anti-vaccine comments that we've seen through this entire cycle. And it's the idea of a vaccine simply being an unnatural thing. It's an unnatural thing, and by definition, maybe it would be bad. This is a guy named Rob Schmitt, who's on Newsmax. Rob Schmitt made these comments not too long ago, about 5 days ago. I just missed it at the time. Listen to what he says about vaccination in this clip.
You know, I've one thing I've always thought, and maybe you can guide me on this because obviously I'm not a doctor, but when I've always thought.
Glad to clarify that.
About vaccines, and I always think about just nature and the way everything works. And I feel like a vaccination in a weird way is just generally kind of going against nature. Like, I mean, if there is some disease out there, maybe there's just an ebb and flow to life where something's supposed to wipe out a certain amount of people, and that's just kind of the way evolution goes. Vaccines kind of stand in the way of that.
This is so painfully stupid. I mean, it's painfully stupid in a number of different ways. First of all, what does it mean to be for or against nature? I mean, vaccines are made in the natural world. They don't exist spontaneously. And often when people make arguments about nature, sometimes they're just wrong about what exists spontaneously in the natural world. They sort of say, well, it's created by society. A good example of that is one of the big anti-gay arguments for a while was it's not natural. Homosexuality is not natural because it doesn't lead to reproduction. You can't, a gay couple or a lesbian couple can't only by virtue of their genitalia and reproductive systems create offspring. But then you look at the natural world and you see, oh, there's hundreds or even thousands of species in which homosexuality has been identified. So what does it really mean to say it's unnatural? And so we kind of realize that they'll just use the word if they think it favors their argument. Now here he sort of means to say something else, which is vaccination doesn't exist in nature spontaneously. If you understand about poison, you would know that a really long time ago, I don't know if it's 800 years ago, 1,000 or more, people started to figure out you could start to get, maybe not quite 800, I don't want to misspeak, maybe it was more like 500 years ago. You could start ingesting very small amounts of poison that would be deadly in larger quantities to develop an immunity. Is that unnatural by the way Rob Schmitt is talking about it? Because you're taking the poison, which exists, and just using a little bit of it and a little bit more to build up a tolerance. So anyway, it's a meaningless point. Let's listen to a little bit more of it.
Do you follow what I'm saying? Does that make sense to somebody in medicine?
Well, there are some reports that support what you're saying. There's one by Neeson and colleagues from Boston and the Mayo Clinic that shows among vaccinated populations, the diversity of different strains is narrowing. So it's going to be fewer numbers of strains. Right now in the United States, we're about 40% UK variant or the Alpha variant, and we're about 30% now Delta, which is the Indian variant. They get progressively weaker, but the diversity is changing with vaccination. And I think probably the best way to think about it is vaccines really ought to be targeted to protect the highest risk individuals.
Okay, anyway, so this guy is sort of playing a little bit coy with some of this stuff. But the point here is when you say it's not natural, is correction of myopia via contact lenses or glasses natural in the sense that do contact lenses exist in the real world? Is surgery that extends life for conditions that would have in many previous times killed people, is that natural? Is the idea that because something doesn't spontaneously exist without human intervention, it would somehow be bad is a painfully dumb idea. And unfortunately, the audience that's watching this stuff is exactly the type of audience that would be likely to fall for it. So just horrifying stuff on Newsmax and an argument that's not really an argument one way or the other. We're going to have more examples of stuff like this on our Instagram, which you can find at David Pakman Show. And when you're there, you can follow me on Instagram as well at david.pakman, or both, or neither, whatever is your pleasure. We'll take a quick break and be back right after this. One of our sponsors is privacy.com. They're giving you $5 when you sign up for their completely free service at privacy.com/Pakman. I've been using Privacy for a little over a year now. You've heard me talk about it before. It's a lifesaver, and here's how it works. Takes just a couple of minutes to set up. Anytime you buy something online or on the phone, instead of actually using your real credit card number, the privacy app and the browser plugin let you give each company a randomized virtual credit card number that you create out of thin air. It'll even autofill the card number with one click. And the payment is taken out of your checking account without the merchant ever knowing your real information. So this allows you to keep your banking information secure, but also to take control of your finances. You can create up to 12 of these virtual credit cards a month. You can set spending limits. You can freeze them. You can delete them anytime you want. So when you do this, it means you're not going to be charged when you don't want to be, because you can destroy the virtual card number right after using it, which, for instance, I love using free trials because I know I won't be charged when the trial is over if I use a virtual credit card number. You're keeping your identity private by not telling companies who you are. You're keeping your bank or credit card info protected against data breaches and identity theft, and it's free. And like I said, you'll get $5 to spend when you sign up at privacy.com/Pacman.